evening, everybody. Please take your seats. You all have some time to catch up. I know it's our annual catch-up, like many of people I've caught up with. Hey, I haven't seen you yet, but there you go. So that's one of the wonderful things about an evening like this. So I'm Kelly Hutchinson, and I'm reprising my role as Mistress of Ceremonies, and I haven't gone out and done that since a year ago. So it's really lovely to have you all here today for the 2025 Pearcey Oration, and also to recognise our Victorian Entrepreneur of the Year. Before I continue, I'd just like to say that the Pearcey Foundation acknowledges the Bunwurrung and Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people of the Kulin Nation and all the traditional custodians who belong to the lands where Pearcey Foundation, you are guests, and where you meet today, but also where you live and work in your own community. We acknowledge the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who join us today, their elders past, present, and whose stories, traditions and living cultures in this country are a valuable resource, as those all who have come to Australia to make it their home. So together we are Australia. I think that's very important. Pearcey developed that ourselves to try and put a bit of a reflection about who we are and how we see place. And that led me to think about, how does place work for us as entrepreneurs, innovators, technologists? Well, guess where are we at the moment? Where are we physically located? Melbourne Connect. My brother was born here. How? This used to be the Royal Women's Hospital. That's right. So everywhere has history. And I'm now a Pearcey ambassador, and so I've been thinking about what does that mean. And it is really looking at that heritage that we have. We have great... where's Carl? I can't find him. Great recognition of the past, of what we have been able to achieve through some of our technology, but there are other ways that we can recognise and remember. And it is that thing that really we are the people that make up the ecosystem, but there is infrastructure around us. And I studied here last century. I can say that now, but all of you did too. But when I say it to my students now, they go, is it okay to have references from last century? And I go, holy shit. Yes. So yeah, it's a bit interesting, that continuum, and that makes the understanding of what heritage is, what it means to me, what it means to you, especially because we shared many experiences in this place when it was Carlton Connect, before it was into this innovation precinct. That was a big investment and a big gamble, right? It was a gamble for everybody. We think we'd gone and looked and seen, what do innovation precincts need? And then what can that do to inform how they would design here? And that was an exciting thing I first got to look at, I don't know, years before it even got the plans approved. So being part of that trajectory of watching, seeing how it evolved has been, a wonderful part, a wonderful journey for myself. But it also has been something that really talks about the fact that, Melbourne Connect Innovation Week and previously the DIF Festival really are the lifeblood of the connective tissue that build the community, which in turn powers the ecosystem. So that's what I've been reflecting on. And of course, liking red, of course, it's going to be an analogy to blood. So much like the snippets of conversations that are overheard in the coffee line, when you're standing there and you're listening and somebody's talking about their latest research or a paper they read, and can't help myself because I will listen and I will insert myself in the conversation. And so that reminds me of something. I think I should introduce you to this person, because that's what I do. I do that in a lift as well. But this is ephemeral, right? How do you capture this? It's tacit knowledge. How do we actually look at documenting it, making it an artefact? And that's one of the things that, Peter Thorne has worked with countless years and decades on capturing our history with CIRAC, working with the formal institutions such as Melbourne Museum, now ScienceWorks. But really, it really is hard to capture it. But then, like fibre optics, it replaced copper. We know that investment was worthwhile, but we just can't see it. But it's just as invaluable. So I had planned to bring some artefacts from my boxes of home, but I've decided I don't have time for that. Also, I forgot them. But I'll share a little bit of those memories with you as we go through tonight. So before I hand over to Wayne, I cannot stress enough the importance of bringing all sectors to the conversation. And that is something that Pearcey actually has been close to my heart and why I've been involved for now 12 years. And really we need to bring everybody together when we're looking at AI and quantum We have to shape the technology. We don't get shaped by it. We help and we create it. And the evolving helix of innovation model started out with the triumvirate of industry, academia and government. But did it fix the wicked problems? No. I know Victor's going to talk a little bit about that. Did quite a lot in actually trying to address it. But really, we've got to bring people and planet. So that's why I was happy as a theorist looking at the addition to the quadruple helix when we brought the community in, and then the environment. That was the context that was missing. And it provides us now with really actually a finite reality, and one that Pearcey Foundation is tackling with Australia 4.0, and I encourage you to participate. After all, I say life is not a spectator sport. Why do I always come up with sport? I hate sport, but even Melbourne, you can't help it. But finally, a nod to the entrepreneurs who have been recognised in the Pearcey Awards. You are the stars I prefer to barrack for. Now, over to Wayne.
Thanks, Kelly, and welcome to everybody. I'd just like to acknowledge several dignitaries who have joined us here this evening, and I can't say how thrilled I am that everybody's turned out for a remarkable evening recognising a young entrepreneur, and Victor's giving the oration, which I'm very much looking forward to. Firstly, I'd like to recognise Professor Ed Hovy, who's sitting just down here, our host for this evening's celebrations, and he's the Director of Melbourne Connect. Dr. Hovy is an eminent ICT expert who joined Melbourne Uni from the US Defence Advanced Research Projects Agency, commonly known as DARPA. And I grew up knowing DARPA as a young engineer from way back. So, and of course, Victor Dominello, the Honourable Member from former New South Wales Government Minister, and Victor will present this evening's oration, and Jordan will give you quite a bit more detail on his background. I'd also like to acknowledge the Honourable Fran Bailey, former Howard Government Minister, sitting over here, who just happens to be my partner. I'd also acknowledge Helen McHugh. Helen? Yes, sitting over there, President of the Australian Computer Society and a long-time supporter of Pearcey. Dolly Brittan, Chair of ACS Victoria and a leader in the early stage investment community here in Melbourne. Okay. Nadine Groves, better known as Noodles, member of AAA's National Board, Deputy Chair of AAA in Victoria and co-founder and COO of Natural Velocity. May I also make special mention of Dr. Rod Dilnut, a member of the faculty here at Computer Science, and he's here this evening. Rod? His leadership at the ACS, both locally and nationally, and his collaborative approach towards the Pearcey Foundation is greatly appreciated and drawn our two organisations close together. And may I acknowledge my fellow members of the Pearcey National Board who have joined us here this evening. Of course, there's Jordan, he's our National Secretary and Deputy Chair. Simon Foster, Simon's the National Treasurer and on the board. Rick Harvey, Pearcey National Board Member and Chair of the Pearcey Entrepreneur Awards Program, a Victorian Entrepreneur winner, in fact, in 2000. And then Murray Pagnuccio, who's a Professor, a Deputy Dean Education at UNSW's Engineering School, and recently appointed Pearcey National Board Member and Chair of the Lifetime Awards Committee. That's the Medal and Hall of Fame. He's got his work cut out, just starting now to get to the results in November. And to all of you who have come to Melbourne Connect this evening, may I express my sincere appreciation for attending our 2025 Pearcey Oration. We see our role at the Pearcey Foundation as promoting ICT to Australia and Australians. We do this in a number of ways, including recognising individuals who have made and continue to make significant contributions to our industry. In addition to our National Pearcey Hall of Fame and Medal Awards, we are here this evening to recognise someone in mid-career who is a standout in their contribution to the development of our ICT sector, both locally, nationally and internationally. We have been making our state and national awards to individuals for over 27 years. We acknowledge the vision of Ian Dennis, who cannot be with us this evening, but I did speak to him on the telephone earlier this evening, in establishing the Pearcey Awards back in 1998 at the time of the passing of Dr. Trevor Pearcey. In case you didn't know, and I'll bore you regularly, Trevor Pearcey, along with Maston Beard, created Australia's first electronic digital computer known as CIRAC. It's on display at Melbourne's Science Works Museum in its original form. It's a truly global, iconic masterpiece, and I recommend you all take a look and see it. It was set to work in November 1949, and it's still its original form there. It doesn't work, but all the components are still there. 76 years ago, the world's fourth electronic digital computer in the Alan Turing concept. And it's a unique design. It wasn't a copy, it was an original design built at Sydney University and CSIRO Radio Physics. It's a classic case of Australia demonstrating international leadership in advanced computing. And now we are one of the leaders in the world in quantum computing, something that we can all be eminently proud of. Just a few words on tonight's oration. We've only been running the Pearcey oration for 15 years, and Jordan will give you more of its history. We see the oration as Australia's most significant annual advanced technology presentations relevant to contemporary Australia. This is part of Pearcey's role to provide thought leadership to the nation as we navigate the rollout and achieve broad acceptance of advanced ICT systems, which of course must include artificial intelligence, AI, which was the subject matter of our 2024 Pearcey oration delivered by Dr. Ian Opperman. The Foundation takes its role in the community very seriously and has a strong commitment to maintaining and promoting our national ICT heritage. Our annual awards program is a key part of that commitment. Jordan will also elaborate on that in due course. Another heritage role we play is by engaging in several longer-term research projects with academia and major museums who have a particular interest in our sector. For example, we have a new initiative underway to create a national virtual museum. We will keep you posted on this initiative as we work towards a formal announcement in early 26. And we have some funding already, so this is going to happen. We're developing the plan as we speak. Likewise, recording our history is another key responsibility we see for the Foundation. We have recently collaborated with a most enthusiastic professional historian and videographer, Carl von Muller, who actually is our official photographer for this evening. I think you'll see one of his videos shortly. Jordan will elaborate more on Carl's magnificent heritage efforts shortly. Our collaborative efforts on heritage all started with Dr. Peter Thorne, who's here this evening with his wife, Helen. And I think he was number 3 head of computer science here at Melbourne University just a couple of years ago. And so he is a major collaborator with the people looking at the virtual museum and the history, working with people like Carl. Enough of me for now. I'll be back to help close this evening's celebrations, but I would like to introduce our Deputy Chair of the Foundation and someone well known to many of you here this evening, Jordan Green. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. It's great to see you all here tonight. It's a very special evening for everybody. Thank you, Wayne. So let me just start by inviting the past recipients of our Victorian Entrepreneur Award who are with us tonight just to stand up. I'd just like to introduce Rick Harvey, who Wayne mentioned. He received the award in the year 2000. And at the same table, Dr. Elaine Saunders, who received the award in 2011. 27 years ago, the Foundation launched on its mission to celebrate, support and encourage Australians who engage in and excel at the invention, development and use of computing and telecommunication technologies for the betterment of our society. We are building on the work of Dr. Trevor Pearcey that Wayne mentioned and his invention of that first digital computer in Australia. which put us at the global forefront of the digital age. We at the Pearcey Foundation have recognised 174 outstanding Australians with the Pearcey Entrepreneur Award and a further 70 who have been inducted into the Pearcey Hall of Fame, 28 of whom have received the Pearcey Medal. Peer selection is the hallmark of the Pearcey Awards. Each year, the Foundation awards the Pearcey Medal for a lifetime of achievement. The medalist and up to 2 others are inducted into the Pearcey Hall of Fame for their notably significant lifetime contributions to Australian ICT. Those awards, together with the National Pearcey Entrepreneur Award, will be held here in this room on November the 21st in collaboration with the School of Computer and Information Sciences celebration of their 70th anniversary. So I hope you will all come back and join us for that very significant evening. And what is the connection? Well, in 1955, that computer, CIRAC, that Trevor Pearcey developed, was moved to this university. And the visionary leadership of the time therefore established the very first computer science department in this country and one of the very first in the entire world. So I do hope that we'll be able to continue that combination and celebration with all of you joining us. Our core ethic at the Foundation is, in fact, about collaboration. No better examples than our sustained partnership here with Melbourne Connect, our continuing cooperation with ACS at both national and state levels, our long-running partnerships with WAITA in Western Australia and with TasICT in Tasmania, among others. Our collaboration includes valuable technology donations that the Foundation has facilitated from our award recipients to the community. Rod, your seat's over there. Welcome. We also have our collaborations, as Wayne mentioned, with the ScienceWorks Museum, the current home of CIRAC. We've teamed with the University of Sydney Business School in our oral history project. We've worked with the ACT government on community electrification and our national leadership of the Australia 4.0 initiative, which Wayne will explain more at the end of the evening. All exemplars of our commitment to being a proactive enabler of a better future for Australia through remembering, celebrating and promoting our ICT heroes and heroines. And now I do want to make special mention of Carl von Moller, in his remarkable efforts at building a video documentary series called The Computer History of Australia. He's our photographer here tonight and has been a welcome friend of the Pearcey Foundation for many years. The video you'll see tonight before dinner is a piece of his work. He's a highly skilled documentary producer, and his current series is, in my opinion, and the opinion of many who are watching it at the moment, a national treasure. It stands alongside his existing series of video documentaries that collect the personal recollections of the men and women who built our Australian computing industry and capabilities. I encourage you all to watch these outstanding videos. They're important. Carl is capturing the living memory. It's worth noting that CIRAC was 1949 and that most of what has happened since then in the world of computing still exists within the living memory, if not of people in this room, of people in this nation. This is not ancient history. It's something we are all a part of, and we feel that quite strongly. So you can find Carl's work both on the Pearcey YouTube channel and on his own YouTube channel known as The State of Electronics. At Pearcey, we believe that Australia is not behind, not catching up, not punching above our weight. We know that in ICT, Australia has always been a leader and at the forefront. Our researchers, innovators, entrepreneurs, and users of technology put us in the global vanguard, just as Trevor Pearcey did at the very birth of the digital age. Our purpose is to help all Australians understand, embrace, and benefit from this continued leadership and the opportunities it presents. So now I want to move on to the award. The Victorian Pearcey Entrepreneur Award recognises an individual or team who has taken a risk, is making a difference, and is an inspiration to others. Selected by past award recipients, This is the community recognising the significant achievements of its peers. The award is for people in the midst of their career who are leading the Australian ICT sector from the very front edge of the global context. My special thanks to the Victorian Pearcey Committee, who give generously of their time to ensure this award continues every year with honour and integrity. This year, the Victorian Pearcey Entrepreneur Award recognises the creation of an international success story from right here in Melbourne. This entrepreneur was born and raised in Perth. In 1998, age 14, he took on a weekend job in a local computer store, which clearly must have furthered his interest because in 2005, he graduated with a degree in software engineering from Curtin University. His early career was with Microsoft, where he did innovative work in operating system development and systems utilities like the disk defragmenter, backup, and restore. His time with Microsoft included a stint in Oslo, working on advanced next-generation search and SharePoint, working in C# and ASP.NET, both for client and server side. In 2010, he moved back to Melbourne and joined Kyandra IT, a consultancy helping clients with custom software development. In this role, he gained a lot of experience, technically in full-stack development, Azure, and user experience design. Commercially, while working on both e-commerce and corporate solutions, and in the management of projects and later in executive and account management. Then in 2015, his older brother Ryan failed an interview for a job at Amazon in the UK. Now back then, AWS was really starting to grow, and it was growing very rapidly and everybody wanted to be part of that growth. So the two brothers decided to write an online AWS training course, which they posted on the Udemy marketplace. An instant success, appealing to the thousands of people eager for AWS certification who preferred a $20 to $50 online course to paying $5,000 to $10,000 for in-person training. Those first online courses were typically 20 to 30 hours long and presented in a way that was informative, fun, and interesting to watch. A year later, unhappy with Udemy taking half of their revenue, they decided to build their own platform. At that time, AWS serverless architecture was very new, so building their platform and courses in parallel was state-of-the-art. He amazed his team as he helped build everything, including video hosting, dynamic transcoding, payments, onboarding, instrumentation, forums, and more. But he also led and drove the commercial effort, and his company, known as a cloud guru, featured at conferences, their own held in a warehouse in New York, so I imagine very trendy, and also at the AWS reInvent programs. And also online, where an initiative of his to give a special offer on a Black Friday sale increased sales by 40 times. In 2017, he opened an office in Austin, Texas. The business-to-customer approach, B2C, was making them famous. And that led to a B2B, business-to-business approach to drive scale. Corporates started buying enterprise licenses, and the company grew rapidly, adding programmers, content creators, editors, and support staff. With a proven product market fit, he raised a $9 million Series A investment to expand offices, staff, his B2B sales, and introduce new features, including a sandbox and an exam simulation. In 2019, he raised a $40 million Series B and then a much larger Series C to acquire a competitor. He managed the negotiations, the merger, and the integration, making a cloud guru a global leader in AWS education and an AWS hero organization. He was regularly asked to give keynotes at conferences, at AWS conferences, and he was invited to join the Forbes Technology Council. By 2021, a cloud guru had grown to 2.5 million students and 4,500 customers worldwide. He was training more students on cloud computing than all the universities in Australia combined. In June that year, a cloud guru was acquired by Vista Equity Partners and then merged with competitor Pluralsight in a deal valued at more than $2 billion. Then in 2003, he got going again and he co-founded Cuttable, a first-of-its-kind automated content agency that combines advertising creativity with marketing science and AI technology. Cuttable enables brands and agencies to create entire advertising campaigns in the time it used to take to write a brief. His purpose for this company is to give power back to the smaller brands, those who are competing with the multi-billion-dollar enterprises. Cuttable is levelling the playing field by giving growth brands access to agency-level strategy, design, and output, all at a fraction of the cost and by providing marketing teams with automated content generation at scale. The product helps marketing teams create, repurpose, edit, approve, publish, review, and reuse their content. Then in January this year, he became a founding limited partner of Glitch Capital, a $50 million venture fund that is the first collaboration in Australia of tech founders who have exited their companies after achieving multi-billion-dollar valuations. This is a founder-for-founders approach that echoes the ethos and character of our recipient. Choosing the recipient for this award, as I said, is guided by the three principles. Has the individual taken a risk? Is this individual making a difference? And is this individual an inspiration to others? Our recipient tonight has certainly taken those bold entrepreneurial risks, building leading-edge technology to take the early lead in an emerging global market and scaling rapidly despite the risks. Now doing that again. He built a global success from scratch, right here in Melbourne, that helped millions of students grow their careers and advance the cloud computing technologies upon which we all rely today. The difference he has made to all those lives has been enhanced by the stellar exit and his continuing efforts to build global success from Melbourne, to fund new founders, and to guide our tech ecosystem. Those who have worked with him are inspired by his ability to keep it all together while exuding optimism and energy, not caving under the relentless pressure to keep the technical, commercial, and creative aspects running at full speed. They call him a truly special person who is intelligent, energetic, collaborative, and an incredibly hard worker. His passion for technology and building companies does Australia proud on the world stage. Those close to him assure us his success hasn't changed him. They know him as a very nice person who is supportive, gentle, enthusiastic, confident, and humble. Always a collaborator and an open-minded problem solver. He partnered with his brother, has been supported and encouraged by his wife, and is father to 5 children under 15. All of these and more mean that this man has very definitely taken a risk, made a difference, and is an inspiration. An admirable Australian, his journey continues, his impact is growing. I'm confident he'll continue to inspire others in ways that make the world a better place. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, the 2025 Victorian Pearcey Entrepreneur of the Year is founder and CEO of A Cloud Guru, co-founder and co-CEO of Cuttable, Sam Kroonenburg. I invite Sam and Professor Ed Hovy, the Executive Director of Melbourne Connect, to come to the stage where Ed will present the award. So Sam, to you, your wife Claire, your brother Ryan, and your mother Vivian, who has travelled from Perth to be with us tonight, on behalf of the Pearcey Foundation, on behalf of your peers, and there's 2 tables of them here tonight, everyone with us this evening, a heartfelt congratulations. Please share some of your thoughts with us.
Well, that was quite a wrap. I don't know if I can follow that up successfully, but first of all, I just want to say thanks to Jordan, to Wayne, and the whole Pearcey team for this award, and also to Ed Melbourne Connect for hosting us tonight. I do feel very honoured to be receiving this and to be sharing the room with so many amazing people from our industry in Australia. Makes me super proud, so thank you. I'm lucky enough to have 5 kids, 3 of whom who are in high school right now, early high school, and they're just starting to think about, what they're going to do with their future, all those decisions that will influence their future. And I think it seems pretty daunting for a lot of people right now to make decisions about their future in a world where everything is changing so fast. And I think a lot of people feel this way, not just young people. So I want to talk tonight about what it takes to build something that makes an impact. And I think the truth is that a lot of ingredients have to come together to make something work. There's actually a lot of little pieces that you put in place throughout your life, one by one, and they build on each other. I think the first is finding out what you love. I discovered coding when I was 12. I still remember the first code I wrote today. I built a little choose your own adventure text game on a DOS terminal with my brother. And the feeling of like awe and excitement that I had that I could make the computer do whatever is in my imagination, that stuck with me. And I still have that feeling today when I work on code. And over my life, I think I've worked out actually it's that I love building things, and coding is one outlet to that, but building a business was another. And I think that's what Cloud Guru taught me. And I think you also need to have a really open mindset. I grew up watching sci-fi. I'm a big sci-fi nerd. I've always been fascinated by the possibilities of what could be. I've never had absolutely any interest in history. I don't care at all. Right? I'm totally fixated on imagining the future. And I think really what that is probably like curiosity at its core. So discovering what I loved and having that mindset, I think came from my upbringing. And I think the seeds were there from the start. I grew up in Perth, was born in like a mining town in the north of WA, grew up with my dad, my mum, and my brother. Dad was an entrepreneur. He always had another idea, another business on the go. And our childhood was a bit of a roller coaster as a result of that. Dad's very much a contrarian thinker, and he always encouraged me to take the road less traveled. He would always be like, just give it a go, figure it out. Mum, who's here tonight from Perth, really nice to have you here. Mum encouraged my brother and I to get the right foundations. Do the study, do the hard work, and give yourself the launch pad for great things. Mum spent most of her career in the universities, in professional development, so she knows how investing in yourself pays off. Next, I think having a solid foundation of love and support at home matters. My wife, Claire, and our kids, they back me 100%. I honestly think Claire has more faith in me than I do, which is helpful. And I think our family life is just filled with fun and adventure, and we genuinely love being together. And I think it makes the time at home really energizing and recharging for me. And I can't say enough how important that is when you're trying to balance the stress of doing something really hard. You need an escape. You need somewhere you can go that's safe and separate from that. And the final and most important piece of the puzzle, I think, is to surround yourself with the right people. So we built Cloud Guru with, it was a bunch of engineers and tech specialists that we knew from our network. They were our friends. And they were all people who had so much passion for improving how education was done and for what cloud computing could do for the world. There's a few people here tonight who've worked with me across multiple businesses, some for up to 15 years now, which is crazy. People like Pete Sparsky, who was employee number 1 at Cloud Guru and quit his job to back me when it was literally me working in my bedroom. So thank you to all you guys for continuing to share your talents and to build amazing things with me. At my new business, Cuttable, we use AI to build social media ads that power the growth engines of really like scrappy, ambitious businesses and challenger brands. Many of the team are here tonight, and they are a group of very special people. Cuttable is literally comprised of some of the brightest minds from the advertising industry and the brightest minds from the tech industry, which is not at all a normal path for either of these people to take on from people from these worlds. So we've got folks from the top advertising agencies like sitting in a room every day with engineers trying to work out how to bottle up that like something special that they have. And we've got engineers trying to decode a creative process, dealing with all of the like vagueness and uncertainty in coming up with a great idea for an ad and that je ne sais quoi. And so it's just incredible to watch. Something really, really beautiful and special is being made right here in Melbourne. And I love that. So I get asked a lot, like, why on earth are you doing this again when you could have just retired? And I think the answer is that I get to rock up every day and build something that the world has never seen before with a group of really talented, really special people. So like, what else would I want to do with my time? What is better than that? So I think, finding what you love, having an open mindset, having that loving support around you, choosing to work with talented people who complement you, all of those ingredients still matter. And they're still going to hold true. They hold true in the world today, and they're going to hold true in the world that is to come. And I think in the world of AI, where everything is advancing so rapidly, the winners are going to be the ones who embrace change, who aren't afraid of it, but roll with it, who have a curious mindset and who ask, what if, all the time. And people who care deeply about something, like whatever that something is. And who don't believe that their limits are a particular job function or university degree. So, yeah, that's what I wanted to say. And I think to my kids and to anyone young, I think my kids will watch this because I think it's going to be on YouTube. So, to anyone trying to figure out what direction to head in, you don't have to have it all figured out yet. I think just start heading down a path that interests you. Is there something that sparks your interest or your excitement? What do you think about when you go on a walk? Explore that. Just follow it for a little while, and you might find yourself halfway down a new path suddenly without realizing it. And I think also just remember it's not just about career. Like spend time working on your relationships, your family, your support, your well-being. Just keep moving and keep trying to solve another small piece of the puzzle every week, every month, and over time, I think you can build a life that really surprises you. My life has certainly surprised me. I want to finish by thanking the Pearcey Foundation for recognising and supporting innovation and entrepreneurial spirit in Australia. It's just so important that we encourage big ideas here, risk-taking and ambition in our country. We have to continue to build consequential global businesses from Australia, and that is how all of it starts. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Just one quick moment. So there's one little variation to tonight. We wanted to say a particular thank you to the person who's responsible for Sam being here tonight and who has travelled all this way. So we just have a small token of appreciation we want to give to Vivian.
Well, thank you very much. Congratulations. And it is always exhausting when you hear it back to you. You go, oh, did I do all of that? Right, okay. But your speech actually gave us a lot to think about, and I'm really pleased it's going to be on YouTube. And we'll share it because that advice is really what a lot of young people are looking for and mid-career changes are looking for, right? I'm always chasing what interests me. That's why I'm now teaching part-time. But really, this has been a wonderful night so far, but there's more. Please, you'll enjoy your entree, and then we'll be back later. And what you'll get to see now is actually some of the work that we were talking about from Carl.
I think Australia has a terrific record for being inventive.
There's clearly a brilliant, innovative streak in Australians.
We've had an honourable role to play.
It may be due to the circumstances, their isolation, the need to be creative.
We had some early innovations. In 1854, we had our first telegraph line between Melbourne and Williamstown, the port.
A lot of the first forays into electronics in Australia were about telecommunication.
Outside of America and England, was the first country in the world to use Morse code.
Morse code revolutionised communication, and it wasn't long before those telegraph lines spread like spiders' webs all around Australia.
That was the Victorian internet.
The Darwin to Java undersea cable was put in place in 1871, and it was to connect to the overland telegraph line. We then had cable contact back to Europe.
The businesses that used the Morse code the most was in fact the wool industry.
And we had an extraordinary inventor called Henry Sutton.
Henry Sutton had designed the first of the rechargeable batteries.
He was very much a self-taught genius of his age.
The compound telephone which we know today, which has one piece, came as a result of earpiece at one end, microphone at the other, all off the same magnet. That was a brilliant invention.
Alexander Graham Bell comes to visit him in Ballarat.
Bell had that telephone in two pieces and Henry Sutton made it in one.
When you've got companies doing high-tech things.
Radio was explosive in its growth through the 20s.
It was vital that Australia have communications, particularly communications with the ships at sea.
The whole electronics industry in that period, from 1920s onwards, was dominated by the firm AWA and by its chief scientist, Sir Ernest Fisk.
So he thought he could communicate with the afterlife, with the dead, with radio. They're starting production of vacuum tubes. They're realising radio's huge.
This is called a Traeger pedal. It became familiar to people on stations to use the pedal radio to communicate with the doctor, to communicate with each other.
Radio in Australia is probably seen as a little bit more vital because it's a big continent.
In Australia during that wartime period, one of the most important developments that took place was at CSIR Radio Physics, where they developed the distance measuring equipment.
In World War II, Australia had developed portable radar systems for our soldiers to take into the field in jungle warfare, and that was fairly extraordinary in its day.
During 1946, I began to develop ideas for an electronic system for computation. Towards the end of 1947, I had more or less completed a theoretical logical design for what was to become CIRAC.
CIRAC came about because it was part of a general development across the world because there was a need for high-speed computation. CIRAC was the brainchild of Trevor Pearcey and Maston Beard.
The machine was well conceived and well engineered by the team at Radio Physics.
CIRAC has the greatest Australian content of any computer ever made.
There were only 3 other computers in the world.
It was a huge advance over the calculating machines, which was all they had.
CIRAC was the first computer to generate music.
Colonel Bergie's March was the first thing, which was a very popular tune of its day. You know, da, 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 da.
And that was the first use of a computer to generate music in the world. CIRAC, in later years, when it was in Melbourne, was the first computer to generate a 24-hour weather forecast.
It was an extraordinary machine. It did extraordinary work. It found the centre of our galaxy.
They developed games that people could play using the cathode ray screens and the flashing lights.
It was a remarkable machine created and maintained by remarkable people.
One of the more significant Australian inventions in electronics was the black box float recorder.
And of course the atomic absorption spectrometer, which was a CSIRO development.
Australia's always been in the forefront of television research.
Australia kept pace. Australia kept pace with the rest of the world in this technology.
The reason why biomedical is because you've got this huge centre of biomedical research here, which needs hardware and needs instruments and things like that.
They were experimenting.
There was the bionic ear.
I have spent the greater part of my working life focused on developing what turned out to be a bionic ear or cochlear implant for profoundly deaf people.
And the pacemaker.
In fact, in 1971, Telectronics was the first company in the world to put a hermetically sealed pacemaker on the market.
So there's certainly people doing some very clever stuff in that area.
In the very late 60s, early 70s, Dick Smith came along and started up Dick Smith Electronics.
I'm going to sell electronics and I'm going to do it in a revolutionary way.
And then straight after that, we got the very first digital chips, CD 4011, 4001, and this was the beginning of the digital era.
Late 70s, mid 80s was sort of like the golden age of hobby electronics, I think.
It was magazines, it was buying kits, there was a computer club.
First projects that I built myself with some friends was the National Semiconductor kit called the SCAP.
These were times when it was really quite a mensa test to get the smallest computer to do the smallest thing.
There was an enthusiasm, almost a religious zealot of interest in these parts.
I think it was. I think that it was very exciting for people to be able to build something which used a chip. It was a concept which was new.
The first commercial computers were starting to come in, the Dick Smith Sorcerer, for example, then the Australian Micro Bee.
Unix became the thing.
Australia also built the Fairlight, which is the world's first digital sampler, and Fairlight expanded. It became a very innovative audio editing tool for post-production. Post-production being the synchronisation of sound to image. Basically, the Fairlight system is still incorporated inside the Blackmagic system these days. And Rode microphones now, one of the world's most successful microphone manufacturers, is in Sydney.
I'm particularly proud of what I did there. The NT3, which is a little pencil microphone.
The CSIRO's government controlled, and they've had some big intellectual property wins recently with the Wi-Fi patent which they won, which is absolutely incredible.
There's been a long process of innovation and discovery.